Generally in the past, I feel as though you've been a little bit more cautious with your rhetoric when talking about slander or accusations against public figures, which I guess I am now, kind of, to an extent. Like, just speaking frankly, talking about this without calling me and then panic banning me from the Discord and from the server, um, oof, I don't know. I mean, cool.
Yeah, so the problem is that we've gotten these complaints for like I think about a year, where like you've been like really
From
sexually aggressive from a variety of people.
Okay,
Yeah, that you're like
can
really
I?
sexually aggressive. Generally, I ignore them because I don't really care. But man, that collection of logs was whew, that was some pretty sweat-city stuff there, man.
Literally, I mean, okay, so in the context of this conversation, obviously it's your platform here. Do you want me to try and defend myself?
Knock
Or,
yourself out.
okay, I just told half of the story to my stream. Sure. Yeah, so the clips there are, they curtailed over a series of months between myself and different people, and sometimes other people and different people that have been, of course, obviously, they've been cut together to make me look as bad as possible. If the goal is to make me look bad, that is what you would do. You certainly wouldn't showcase any context that makes me look good. So, to put it frankly, in my combos with Poppy, because that's the main figure here. She's been trying to get me in trouble for like years in this community, and has succeeded to some extent. This is not new drama. All of this has been discussed before in d.gg.
Okay, so
It has been discussed in Politics.
let's say for instance that what you're saying is true. Why would you continue to DM her?
I didn't. I haven't DM'd Poppy in a really long time.
Okay, but you clearly DM'd her at a point to where you thought that she didn't like you, and you were saying that, which is exactly why you were saying like, if I gave you my dick pics, you're going to leak them. So why would you have that type of conversation with somebody if you already know that?
Hold on. I'm not familiar with all the fucking memes. Let me see if I can pull up the Imgur collection of images here. Poppy and I stopped talking after a time, and then Poppy blocked me and started to accuse me of harassing her. And then Poppy created a new account, and there were several times during that time, after the creation of a new account, that I felt as though I could reason with her and be like, "Hey, can you stop calling me a literal rapist? All I did was act cringy to you over Discord DMs."
Wait, hold on one second.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait. So let's back up, okay?
Yeah, please.
Why? So like when? So okay. So I understand that. So from your goal, I think you understand that there are messages here that are totally unacceptable. So what we're trying to use context to ease, to kind of ease like the sting of some of these messages. But
I think
like for like a series of messages, like I know you want to see my dick, but you're a spiteful fuck, and I know you'd share my dick pics around, even though it's in the exact upper spectrum of your preferred dick size range, right? For messages like these, it's pretty clear that you already know that this person doesn't like you, but you're still making these like highly sexual advances, even after they've explicitly like continually not engaged with anything you've said. Why?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For in regards to that specifically, I think I remember the specific interaction. The reasons for that were because in public d.gg, so in not in DMs, Poppy was making posts which were alternatively critical and weirdly praising him, not flirtatious necessarily, but they made comments about how it was something along the lines of like, "I wouldn't even mind you," or something like that. And I was really angry about this because this is the same person who had for a period of months prior, had accused me of engaging in sexual harassment, sending nudes, even though I have never sent a nude to Poppy in my entire
Wait, so do
life.
you think that if somebody says that they wouldn't necessarily mind you physically, that that's like carte blanche then to go ahead and launch into full like dick pic invitation tirades and DMs, or?
I never once in the entire time that I spoke with Poppy did I send Poppy a dick pic. In that specific conversation, I was frustrated with Poppy because it seemed like after months of them calling me a rapist, they were then making weirdly kind of like, "Oh, he's not bad" comments, which frustrated me. So I sent like, "Hey, fuck you. If I sent you a dick pic, you just leak it and use it as more evidence against me." Given the context and given that prior she'd spent months harassing me,
Hold
never given
on.
up.
Whoa, ho, ho, ho,
No,
ho.
please.
Okay, I don't know if you normally talk to people with a lot of social problems, but you're lying to me. Okay,
I'm
so
not lying to
you
you.
very, very, very clearly in this conversation are looking with some sort of sexual reciprocation. This is not something that you're saying
Wait, let me
spiteful.
find the image. Am I? Hold on. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong image. Hold the fuck on. I'm looking at like, is there like multiple fucking
So
albums
now
that
that
I have
we've
to
brought the
go through?
sexual tension up to a simmering level in here, I know what you're thinking. And then she doesn't engage and talks about Trump, and then you immediately re-engage sexually and say, "I know you want to see my dick pic." Like this is not like
Oh, I see. Let me see.
And then when you go, and then when you
No.
hit it up afterwards with the prove to me and I can trust you, right? Where you're trying to bait out her sending nudes to you, and then in the next message where you continue to say that like I know that you enjoy these conversations. These are not the messages of somebody that's being incredibly spiteful because they're upset somebody said something in Discord. This is you hardcore trying to manipulate somebody into sending you nude pictures. This is like there's no other reading of this. Like
I suppose I disagree. I never in my life wanted nor expected nude pictures from Poppy. She doesn't seem to be into me or into that. These messages from 2017, I remember them as I remember them, and it is entirely possible that the specific context which may exonerate or condemn me has been lost to time, or we could just go back and look at the
okay,
logs.
so would you say that you're not being flirtatious with her in these messages?
I would say that my frustration with her is in some way rooted in sexuality, but no, I have no interest. This is past
Okay, so if you
wait,
have no interest of being flirtatious with her,
this is from 2017, right?
sure.
This should be before she and I started arguing with one another, because I think that happened in early 2018.
Okay, well, regardless of what it is, I mean, like, it's just like a bunch of like messages where like they're very clearly like not engaging with you sexually, but you keep trying to push them in that direction. So like,
Yeah,
I'm also confident in saying,
oh, sure.
I'm also confident in saying that a lot of this behavior was flirtatious because later on you try to clarify that you shouldn't be flirtatious. Oh, so by the way, I do find your general antagonistic attitude endearing, but I should not flirt with you. Am I reading that right? As though you need to change the behavior that you've already exhibited.
No. Yeah. If this, I'm sorry. Listen, I thought this was post argument. If this is pre-argument, if this is back when she and I were friends, yeah, there was a while where I was really, and this is legitimate, I was confused as to whether or not I was getting like vibes off of her. And I admit the conversation that I had with her belied a pretty extraordinary lack of social graces from my part at certain places. But I do think, and I'm going to be frank about this, and I apologize if it sounds like overly defensive behavior, this is a conversation which I didn't threaten, didn't demand nudes, never sent nudes unrequited nor unrequested, never did anything which could genuinely constitute harassment, because at this point, pre-2018, I would very frequently ask her if my behavior made her uncomfortable, because I am, and I'm going to be fucking frank about this, sometimes a little bit much. I would ask, hey, is this making you uncomfortable? Is my being sort of pseudo-flirtatious making you uncomfortable? If that's the case, I'll stop. I won't do it. And she would say very frequently, no, this is fine, just don't do blank. There was a touch and pull, cat and mouse, and I don't mean that in a sexual way. I just mean that the sort of vibes wavered on and off environment that persisted for several months until she and I argued with one another, and everything that I had done prior constituted sexual harassment. In spite of my admittedly, and I say this fully, insubstantial efforts prior to come off, I guess, not being fucking weird and cringy. These are cut up segments of a conversation over a period of months from a very, very long chat log between her and I, in which there was no evidence of me harassing, threatening, sending nude pics, or demanding nude pics. And this is, and you, did I hear this correctly that you compared me to JF over stream?
No, I didn't compare you to JF. I said that if I talked to JF, I could probably talk to you.
Thanks.
So a little
Much
bit.
Appreciated.
But
Much
I mean, like,
appreciated.
so I'm basically either left with thinking that you're well, hold on, careful, because I'm kind of like letting you like spin a whole tale that is, I don't think
I'm
this
not,
is like
I
true.
think I just said this very neutrally, but if you would
Sure.
like me to
So like, yeah. So I mean, like in reading these conversations, to me, it is insanely obvious kind of like what the goal is, right? We're engaging in like a decent level of emotional manipulation in order to make somebody feel bad enough to send you nude pictures. That's kind of like what's happened here, right? The threatening them without being friends with them anymore, the saying that you're going to withhold advice or not talk to them on a deeper level if they haven't sent you anything. Like these kinds of like conversations seem to be geared towards making a person feel bad enough to send you nude pictures. The aggressive, like, why are you so disinterested in being flirtatious with me? The pushing somebody even though they've kind of said they're asexual. Like, it seems to me that we're kind of pointing in a particular direction that is pretty obvious.
I was very confused at certain points because sometimes she said stuff to me that I interpreted as flirtatious. I'm not
Sure. So like the responsible thing is like if you're confused, then you probably wouldn't lean into it 150%, right?
Yeah, that's why I stopped after this. I completely rethought how I talk to people online after this Poppy debacle, and since then I have been really fucking careful about engaging with people because I am, and I hate to pull this out because this sounds like some bullshit ass fucking invalid self-defense, but I am autistic. Sometimes I misread social signals. This taught me, among other things, that sometimes, in spite of my best intentions, I can kind of fuck it up. So since then, I've been really careful about how I talk to people. Poppy has, despite no contact with her over the past year and a half, I mean, there have been minor bants, but it was all in public and mostly started by her insulting me, has been over the past year and a half trying to get me fucking ruined over this. Because she is, I don't know if she believes this genuinely or if this is a narrative that she's woven together because it serves her interests, because she wants to paint me as somebody who has this habitual tendency of sneaking into the DMs of like mentally unwell young girls and trying to emotionally cajole them into nudes. Which is
I
not
mean,
backed
the
up.
other person is like
I can. That's even more defensible. That is so beyond.
the other person
defensible.
that this is a person whose my contact is limited to a few emails, and even I know that she is like pretty mentally like not. I don't want to say not all there because it sounds very rude, but this is somebody that I would like urge extreme caution with dealing with. And
Yeah, and the conversation that gets cited when people are talking about my negative relationship. Wait, can we not say their name? Are they like anonymous? I won't if they don't.
I mean, I'd prefer not to, but
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can say Poppy, I assume, because she's super plastered all over this. But in regards to that person, the conversation that we had that people miscite or that Pastel, fuck, oh my god, no, forget it. That's not even their name anymore. Listen, my apologies. That conversation was one in which I wanted to talk with them and tell them to stop thirsting after me because I did not believe that our values were comparable, such to the extent that I could do anything other than like sort of fuck with her brain. You know what I mean? I can give the context on that because that is so insanely defensible. It was literally, I was part of the Polychats Discord, a subservient of your Discord. They were pretty cool. And this person was thirsting after me fucking hardcore. This is a fact. You can check. This was unrequited, at least initially, and instigated by them. I would be in like a voice channel publicly, like with 10 other people, and they would post in the Discord chat, like, I'm so fucking horny right now, his voice. And in Twitter, they'd be like, I thought about him all day. Some pretty like yikesy obsessive shit.
so isn't this kind of like the difference between like a woman being sexual versus like objectifying somebody? Like just because somebody says that they might be horny or something in a public Discord doesn't necessarily mean that's an invitation to start firing off DMs that are like this level of sexual aggression.
Then they DM'd me and started asking other people how they could get me to ask how they could get me to send dick pics without them having to ask for it because they're a hardcore Christian and don't believe in that. They initiated the DMs. They initiated the public flirtation.
Wait, so you're telling me that there's DMs of this person DMing you and saying, would you please send me dick pics, but I don't know how to ask for it?
No, there are other people. I don't know if they would vouch for me or not, but I'm not going to, rely on it. But it was in a public voice call of about 12 people. I wasn't there at the time, and apparently this person was asking, "Oh my God, how do I get him to send dick pics to me? I don't want to ask." Again, this isn't like crux evidence. I can get to the extent of it because I can explain this very quickly.
Well, the problem it's not like I know that you can explain it because I know I'm sure you got an explanation for everything. But like when I look at these messages,
don't you think it's a little bit unfair of you to get a bunch of clipped up pictures that other people have compiled over like a year and a half, use that as an argument against me, and then like delegitimize my attempting to defend myself because like of course you have an excuse? Don't you think that's like kind of a bit shitty? I'm really trying to present this neutrally. If you think that my language is too biased, I can adjust it.
Well, like I mean, so like for instance, like when I look at this, so you're telling me that this is a person that is like secretly like thirsting for your dick. Apparently,
it's not secret.
Okay, it's not secret, but when you have a private conversation with them in every single message, they are never, ever, ever engaging with you sexually with any of the things that you're saying. Whether you're talking about obtaining nudes from another person, not only are they not engaging, they're often pivoting to like a whole other topic point or explicitly expressing like disinterest. Like, I'm not going to press you on this, like, or trying to change the subject to something, or explicitly stating that they're asexual. Yeah, like...
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There's a mountain of evidence from that Discord and the people in that Discord, but they were insanely fucking flirtatious with me. I don't know what logs or what cut up segments of a conversation were released to you, but if I could get a couple of my boys on the line, no, just anyone who was in that server, this was all very public, but it was a smaller server, so it doesn't leak as much. Let me just explain this very briefly, because this is really simple. They were super fucking flirtatious with me. I engaged with it for a time because I am, admittedly, weak, and I like it when people are nice to me and flirtatious with me. It makes me feel loved and, appreciated and shit. But over time, it became clear to me that they were not mentally well. And I really don't mean that in an illegitimate way. That doesn't mean their feelings are invalid or that they're not capable of accusing me of doing heinous shit. They weren't mentally well. So I thought, okay, I shouldn't be fucking around with this. I had a conversation with them that lasted for about an hour and a half over voice, where I was one half like, haha, flirty flirt, but other half being like, hey, yo, seriously though, I'm a non-monogamous, polyamorous fucking pan dude. You're like a Christian, no sex before marriage, and you're like self-hating about the arousal you're feeling towards me. We shouldn't do this. This isn't good. Nothing good will come from this. After that, they fasted for 3 days as a product of that conversation. No food. After that, I realized I was done with them. Shortly after they returned from their 3-day fast, Poppy showed up in that server. And Poppy
Okay,
started
so
talking
like,
about. Okay, no, no, please. I'm really trying to frame this neutrally, but this is literally what happened.
I just don't see how, like, if you thought somebody was like mentally compromised, wasn't able to make these types of decisions, wouldn't this come before like months of very highly sexually aggressive, unreciprocated
That was with
conversations?
Poppy. That was with Poppy. The other person I talked with for a total of 9 days. Discord DMs confirmed that. I went in the polychat server. They acted thirsty. 9 days of conversation. I stopped talking with them. Poppy is the other person, and I've already explained that to the greatest extent
Wait,
I
if you've
can.
only talked to them for 9 days, then wouldn't that mean you should be even more cautious when being very sexually aggressive in DMs?
I wasn't sexually aggressive in DMs. They were sexually aggressive towards me, and I reciprocated because, like I said, I'm weak. I agree, and especially now. Well, I wasn't even a public figure back then, but now that I am, I recognize that there's going to be like a weird fucking parasocial like shit that I have to deal with. But at that time, it was literally just somebody being like, "Holy shit, his voice is so fucking hot,"
Okay,
and
when you
talking about
wait. So when you hear things like along the lines of like when you're telling somebody that they enjoy your sexual advances, even though they make them uncomfortable, like how am I supposed to reconcile those types of messages?
from the other person who is not Poppy.
Yeah, no, to the other person that is not Poppy.
Oh, because I knew that like they had like an inner war going on with their like appreciation of me sexually and the fact that they're like a hardcore fucking fundamentalist Christian who doesn't believe in sex before marriage. So a lot of this dialectic, if you will, going on in their mind was the disconnect between their religious values and their physical desires. I thought, and pardon my naivete, I thought that maybe by being flirtatious with them or like at least engaging with their sexuality, I could help them be less self-hating about it and maybe like let because I'm like my GF is a sex educator. It's just something that I'm interested in. Be like, okay, like all right, you hate yourself because it's sinful to lust, but you lust after me. Maybe we can explore these feelings. And I did. This is a combo we had publicly, by the way, in the public voice channel. Maybe we can explore these feelings in a way that doesn't make you want to like fucking hurt yourself.
Okay, so
This is
like
the kind of. Oh,
everything.
okay.
Okay, man, this is really awkward. I love you very
Please,
much. I understand. I'm
you
pretty sure I
don't.
understand your inner thought process so well right now. And maybe with another person, maybe this would work. But like everything you just told me is a massive lie. When I
That's not
read
true.
these logs, it's incredibly obvious that what your goal is your goal is to get them to sexually engage with you. If your goal was to actually have a conversation with a person and make them more comfortable with their sexuality, there are ways that you can do that.
What's the
I wish
timestamp?
I
What's
wish
the
I did these.
timestamp?
I
What's the
wish.
timestamp?
Well, I don't.
What is the
I'm just
time?
looking. I'm looking
Is it
through.
from Poppy or the other person? Because
Um,
that's a super valid distinction right
I
there.
don't know. Like, here's this, right? I actually had a conversation incredibly recently. I wish this was via fucking text. I wish this was with text. So I could copy paste it and show you and show everyone what a conversation actually looks like. So I was talking to somebody very recently, and they said that they have there's something called vaginismus or something. I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically they get very tight and very nervous during sexual activity. And I was curious about that, and we had a conversation about that. But nowhere in that conversation would I say something like, you know, if I would fuck you, I bet that vag would like loosen right up. Or, you know, if you would let me go down on you, I bet I could tongue you open, baby. Like I would never say something like that, because if we're actually having like a conversation about like an actual sexual problem that person has, then the conversation would be focused on that problem,
But
not
I
something
didn't say
like
we weren't also
God damn it,
flirtatious
you
with.
are so open to innuendo. Your language screams for it, right? Like, holy shit. Like, these are like,
That was I believe that was a Poppy log, but if not, I mean my the
no, this isn't.
discussions that I had.
This is the other person, right? And like the
Okay,
fact that like you're not really
we're
making.
sitting right
Well,
here.
hold on,
Okay,
because I just let you talk for like 5 minutes, okay? Like the fact that you're
I'm
these.
the one on trial here.
Well, yeah, sure. Well, this is an execution, not a trial, okay? But when I'm looking through these logs, it's not really like you're interested in talking about the problem. The interest is squarely focused on yourself. Because, like I said, there are ways that you could talk in which you would be talking about that problem, but you're not. You're trying to
You're
get them to
you
like.
haven't you haven't looked through the logs. You've looked through the logs that people have cut up who dislike me.
Sure,
Please don't
but
mistake
there
that for
are
looking through the logs. I can explain everything here. I did not listen. I didn't mean if I just made it sound as though I was just trying to act as a sex educator with the person we're talking about. That's not true. Like I said, they were flirtatious with me. I am weak. I reciprocated the flirtation. I believe it is possible to be flirtatious with somebody and also engage with them like on a discourse about their sexuality and their level of comfort. In the log you just sent me, they were like, "Hey, maybe tone it down a bit." And after, by the way, after messages that they had sent both in public and
Okay,
in
wait. Hold on.
vastly,
Before jumping to another topic. So let me.
this is
So
not this is the same topic you just brought me up on. You literally sent me this, asked me to explain it, and then started talking over me. This is not a different topic. This is what you just gave me.
okay. Well, but the topic that I guess I want to focus on is whether or not you were trying to help this person, or whether or not you were just trying to get nudes or get into a sexual relationship with this person.
Never wanted nudes from this person. Never asked for nudes from this person.
But you were
They
trying to be.
engaged
You were.
me.
Your goal was to get into a sexually explicit relationship with this person, right?
No, my goal initially was to be in the polychat server and chat with people who I liked.
Okay,
They
so
are the
then
ones
let's see how like a normal person would read this and take away from this, right? Sometime in the near future, I would like you to clarify what you meant when you said, "Don't know how I make you feel." So this seems like something that's more pointed towards you and not necessarily a problem. So it's obvious you find me cute. The feeling is mutual, so I like you as well. You also, on some level, do enjoy my sexual advances, so they do make you uncomfortable. I don't want to make you uncomfortable, so I won't make them anymore. That being said, what do you want moving forward? It seems like this is a conversation about a potential sexually explicit relationship between you and this person, not a conversation about like their problems. I won't lie, I'm very curious as to your thought process on my sexual advances. See, I've never been inhibited. It's difficult for me to imagine the mind of someone simultaneously intrigued and uncomfortable. These aren't like the logs. Again, like if I was having a conversation.
This is a conversation where I was being more explicitly sexual with them after their consent and reciprocal sexual behavior. This is not one of the more sort of technical discussions on how religion relates to sexual self-hatred. That was done more in public. Again, I just said this. I never said that I didn't engage with them sexually, but I thought in the context of this convo that I was being relatively responsible, because what you're not seeing is all of the times they were like, "I'm literally fucking tripping about this guy right now. I want him to send me dick pics. I want him to..."
So you have logs of them saying that to you?
I have people who heard it over voice. Almost all the contact with this person was over voice, but I can prove it. There are logs from their Twitter where they posted tweets that were unambiguously about me. There were other people who saw them post shit like that in the polychat.
Okay, but again, you understand that them saying something like, "I find this person attractive," or even "this person makes me dripping," that doesn't give you the right to go into their DMs and act in an incredibly...
They went to my DMs and they initiated conversations about sex with me. I've already answered this. Listen, Destiny, I really feel like you're not giving me a fair shake here. I feel like I'm explaining this.
Well, what you feel like is you kind of like wrap together a fairly convincing narrative that would hopefully make me forget about a lot of what I'm reading, and then you're trying to tie it together using evidence that we can't look at right now, which is ambiguous voice chats by people that aren't willing to come forward and corroborate any of them.
I never, whoa, I never said they aren't willing. There are people who I know who probably would talk about it. It's not all voice chats. There are public chats in d.gg and in polychat, which would collaborate with what I've said. For 2 or 3, I forget what.
Well, the public chats don't make you any better, because the public chats are you making like very, very sexually explicit comments again about Poppy.
With Poppy, and a lot of those public chats were in a heated argument where she was calling me a rapist. And yeah, I go full fucking tilt when people call me a rapist. I'm sorry.
Wait, full tilt isn't like, I bet Poppy's never been stretched so far that her butthole pops out a little bit? Like, this is your response to somebody flaming you?
You literally posted a picture of a burning cross to somebody who said that being a black in America is lit. I do not want to hear your take on optics when it comes to you defending yourself in an argument, when it comes to making yourself like look bad in the public.
Yeah, sure. Okay? So I can defend what I did if you care to hear it, right?
No, I know.
No, hold on, because now I want you to do the same for yours as I do for mine, right? So I had a bunch of black nationalists that were tweeting at me that were denying the fact that black people had trouble in the United States. They were saying that black people have always had a rich and powerful and good history in the U.S. and that a lot of people overblew the troubles that black people faced. And their final response to me was like, actually, being black in the U.S. is lit, because they were trying to deny the fact that black people face a bunch of institutional racism or whatever that exists in the U.S. And my tweet back to that, obviously, well, how could you say that, right? Like, obviously, like the fucking KKK and shit exists. So my tongue-in-cheek tweet back was, here's a picture of a burning cross, like, lit, you say, right? It was very edgy, sure, but like, that was my take on that. Was it edgy? Sure. Was it racist? I don't think so, considering the point of what I was defending. Now, what I'm curious is, and you can take issue with my explanation or not, that's fine. What I'm curious is how does like somebody that's accusing you of sexual assault, how do you make a message like, I bet my dick would look colossal in Poppy's hand? How is that defending in the same way?
Not sexual assault. Come on. Not sexual assault, sexual harassment. Those are two very different things. No one in my life has accused me of sexual assault.
I don't know why I thought sexual harassment.
I don't know why either, Destiny. Okay, yeah. And a conversation where I was friends with somebody for 3 or 4 months, where they had made alternatively suggestive statements towards me that I confirmed with them were not intentions of actual sexual arousal, but were just like bants or, I don't know, sometimes interpreting people's intentions is a little bit hard. Then, out of nowhere, all of these conversations we'd had in the past, which I had asked her if she were comfortable with and if they constituted harassment, and she had said no. She was suddenly saying all these things were sexual harassment. She was making a huge fuss about it in your Discord, and she was accusing me not only of being a sexual harasser, not only of being a brocialist and a fake feminist and a shitty human being, but also, broadly speaking, of being sexually inadequate because I have to, and I believe this may actually be a direct quote, try to coerce nudes out of mentally handicapped girls to get his rocks off. And in the context of that argument, there were dozens, if not hundreds of people swarming around the public channels talking about how, because Poppy had made comments that were suggestive about me in public before, talking about how Poppy was just mad that I wouldn't fuck her or something like that. So in the heated context of me being fallaciously accused of sexual harassment by somebody who in the past said I had done no such thing in the moment, surrounded by people who were making fucking edgy jokes about how my sexual virility was such that she was just jealous she wasn't going to get any of it, yeah, I made some edgy jokes about me having a gigantic fucking 30-foot penis that could...
Okay, but a lot of these comments, these aren't even happening in the middle of arguments. These are you just coming in out of nowhere. So Poppy talks about taking a 4-minute shower. A couple of people don't know that you can take a 4-minute shower. People argue it. And then out of nowhere, you come in with the Poppy knows my deep dish prolapse dicking bloodline technique and blah, blah, blah. And this is like completely out of nowhere. Like nobody's talking about this at all. And then you're talking about soaping up your cock afterwards. Like nobody in here is having any sexually explicit conversation whatsoever.
How do you know 5 minutes ago she wasn't going full fucking tilt against me? Like, you have no way of knowing. And you would never be this irresponsible about jumping to conclusions in any other case. I have seen you defend allegations against other streamers, and I know you have a monetary interest in keeping good relationships.
Whoa! First of all,
hold on. Hold on. Because I am upset about this. There is nothing wrong with being critical or skeptical. I am a charismatic person. It is totally possible, conceivable, that I could be using my, I don't know, charisma, my following, to fucking sneak in DMs and be shitty towards people. That is a completely valid thing to think about me, and I invite people to be skeptical of my intentions. What I do not invite is you platforming this on stream before getting a chance to speak to me. And as I come in to speak to you, you instantly ban me without even talk. You don't even say, "Oh, hi, I can't talk to you." You just summon Mr. Mooten. Pardon me.
Oh, well, that's because I wasn't sure if I... That's because I wasn't... Because I'm familiar with the way that you talk in the conversations on the logs, and I knew that you would speak in a similar way right now, which you are. So I'm a little bit hesitant.
I try and defend myself? Then why ask me to defend myself? If you believe that any sort of defense I can corroborate is just evidence of the charisma that I was using to engage in harassment in the first place.
Mainly a morbid sense of curiosity. But
well, no. Well, but that's fine. That's fine.
Whoa, no, wait, hold on. We can't move past the fact that... Wait, hold on.
That's fine.
You accuse me... Wait, you accuse me of defending people out of monetary interest.
Oh, I'm so sorry if my accusations towards you in this conversation have been wild, friend. So if you don't believe...
Well, the difference is I am substantiating mine. What do you mean? How do you mean... How do you mean that I am... tell me which streamers you think I let slide. You're talking to the #1 bridge burner on Twitch. Please tell me which streamers you think I let slide on things that I should be calling them out on. I would love to hear this for financial motivation.
Right. Sure. To clarify, broadly speaking, in the past, I've heard that you are not only not a fan of breaking news, but generally a fan of not commenting on drama as it's festering. You usually don't like to comment on something until you have both sides of the issue. I remember this from the hotel drama. You have a YouTube VOD about it, where you were talking about... I don't even remember who it was, but it was a YouTube VOD. You were talking about it. There was some hotel drama. Somebody accused somebody else of being weirdly flirtatious or crass or whatever. And you said that you didn't want to comment on this specifically as other people came in to comment because you felt as though it would be irresponsible of you to do so without full context. In the context of that, by the way, that person was accusing the streamer of booting them out on the street for not having sex with them, engaging in behavior far worse than the worst allegations that are thrown against me. But in spite of that difference, you are still willing to give them benefit of the doubt and throw me under the bus to an audience of thousands and then ban me to keep me from talking about it.
So the problem is like this isn't this...
Well, you say it's just evidence of my charisma.
Well, the problem is like this isn't like just breaking news. This is like literally stuff that is like been boiling over for the past like few years.
No, it happened once a year and a half ago, and since then the same person has been trying to get me in the same trouble for that length of time. And it seems that she has finally succeeded you to be so unscrupulous as to just dive into this. But listen, if you're only having me on here for morbid curiosity, and you just think that me trying to give context to these context-free DMs is evidence of my charisma, which I use to manipulate and harass women or whatever, then that's not fine. I think that's really shitty. But if that's the case, then I'm not interested in discussing this. I was hoping this would be an opportunity to explain things to you, but I feel like you've made up your mind.
Okay, well, I think that you two should get into the hash it out, and I'm really curious what the full logs would look like.
I can post them to a what are they called? The thing you can upload all the discussion.
Image or a paste bin, because I'm real curious how you could ever justify a lot of these messages are pretty.
You do recognize though that even if the worst accusations levied here are true, the worst that could be accused of me is being kind of weirdly manipulative with one person over DMs a year and a half ago. You do realize that even if everything I'm saying is a lie, that is the worst thing that can be.
Well, no, the worst thing is that you engage in a repeatable pattern of behavior where you try to be very sexually aggressive towards a lot of the women in chat in order to make them uncomfortable enough to send you pictures, and then if they don't, you either act very aggressive towards them, like by telling them that you can't continue conversations anymore, or you continue to sexually harass them until they either give in or block you or go crazy or whatever.
It hasn't. I mean, none of this has happened. That's an extrapolation that you can make based on Poppy.
Based on Poppy, the other person, and other people.
The other person I've explained in totality. The other person has been explained in totality, and there is nothing more to be said about that. But again, I've tried to talk about this with Poppy over a dozen times over the past year and a half. Multiple times have I tried to bring them in calls. Other people have tried to bring them in calls with me. It hasn't happened. They're not interested in talking about it. I have made conciliation after conciliation to Poppy and the people who believe her. None of it seems to work because it is really, really easy to, and by the way, I totally get this because, believe women, #MeToo and shit. It's really easy to understand the narrative of a kind of like charismatic, sexually aggressive dude who goes around manipulating women to try and get them nudes. In this instance, I don't believe that the facts back up that assertion. I don't believe that's the case. I've defended myself on this issue multiple times. None of the drama has changed since I last defended myself about it. None of this is private. All of it is public. It has only been made public as of this moment because you have now suddenly been made aware of it.
People have been making me aware of it for a long time, but I think over the past few...
All related to the Poppy situation. I would actually love for you to find anyone who isn't Poppy or the other person who we're trying not to name, who would accuse me of this. Because I, generally speaking, am very cautious with talking to people because of Poppy. Poppy has taught me that you can never, ever trust people online because you can conversate with them for a long time and believe that you're not harassing them. And then after you stop being friends with them, they'll try and turn everything you said against them into a mode of harassment. But I'll leak, well, it's not a leak, it's my logs. I'll throw the pastebin logs out there. I've defended myself thoroughly many times on this. I guess I just hoped for some kind of amicability or reciprocal respect from you, but I feel like your mind's made up, and that's that.
I don't know. I guess we'll be digging into it over the next few days. I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about it. So,
yeah, great. I really look forward to these. All right. Well, I can't say that I'm especially happy with this, broadly speaking. Are there any is there a question, any other salient accusation you'd like to throw my way? Again, I'd like to remind everyone listening that the worst thing that can be thrown my way, given the evidence provided, which has been admittedly cut up and out of context, the worst thing that one could accuse me of is being kind of creepy and manipulative with one person or two people, if you don't want to accept my explanation of the second person, over DMs over a period of 2.5 years. Or I guess 2 years now, because we're not all the way done with 2019. So if the worst of that being corroborated by out-of-context DM links is I like, by the way, how in the images, the DMs that were provided, they blacked out the pictures I sent them as though there were nudes there. That's really funny. There is nothing nude in either of the pictures that have had black bars put over them. It's funny, though. It makes me look, shittier than I actually came off in the context.
I mean, I don't think they have to be actually nudes. I mean, you're shooting off pictures of people while you're either in bed or in the shower, and they've clearly said that they...
I was clothed, and it was a picture of my forehead. And yes, the knee picture, I took a picture of my knee, and it was like, here's the dick picture, but it was my knee. There's no nudity in the photo. I made sure of that. I was very careful. I agree. That's yikesy. I think that's probably the worst thing I did over all of this, because Poppy had demonstrated no sexual interest, and I had joked. She was like, no, as long as there's no dick pics. So then I sent something that is technically not a dick pic, And the joke there is, of course, that I have technically fulfilled the requirements of her request without adhering to the spirit. Now, obviously, not the best joke. I've apologized to her about it, both privately and publicly multiple times. But if that's sort of if that's like the cross to bear me on, then sure. I don't think that we're getting tremendously far in this discussion. And I don't think there's anything I can say to you that's going to change your mind. So before I go, or before you ban me again, or I don't fucking know, I just want to say to people in chat, I invite skepticism and scrutiny. I am not above the capacity for people to be shitty towards like other people or manipulative or whatever. Everyone has the potential to do that, and you should be really fucking incredulous. Okay, that's totally valid. However, I feel as though I have done a decent job contextualizing and explaining myself. And if you have any questions, I am streaming right now.
Do you feel like you've been banned from other Discord servers for similar behavior because of a single person manipulating things, or do you think you would deserve to be banned from there as well?
The Polychad server is the only other server I have ever been banned from, and it was specifically because of the Pastel and Poppy thing. It's just been these two people. There are no other people.
Wait, so not just Poppy then, but for the other person as well, right?
Yes, because the other person because I told you, they fasted for 3 days after we had a conversation in which I engaged with them flirtatiously, but ultimately said that I wasn't interested in continuing this long term because we had very different values concerning sexuality. Then they came back after 3 days, along with Poppy. Poppy started rambling. I'm sorry, that's loaded language. Poppy.
Okay, I got
it. Okay, no, I know you don't care. All right, but thank you very much for the platform.
I hope you get better and good luck, buddy. Okay.
Thanks. Jesus Christ.
Well then, here we are, boys. Remember a long time ago when people were debating, I'm stealing a Chris Rock joke. It was between Michael Jackson and Prince, and then all the sexual assault accusations came out against Michael Jackson. Well, here we have Hassan and Irishladdie. A victor has emerged. Whoa. Jesus.